Marriage is the most important thing you could ever do in your life. It is the number one factor for success. It's the number one factor for happiness. I think it's the number one factor for living a better life because your partner is someone who you spend majority of your life with. Maybe you have high school friends, maybe you have your siblings, your family, but you don't spend all of your life with them. And getting married, you do. Yet I think so many people rush it. They rush relationships. I was doing some studying and 58% of young adults, which is 18 through 24, are in a relationship. And at this age, you're transitioning from high school to college. You're starting to grow a little bit more. But what percentage of those relationships actually last? I can guarantee you this, not a lot. I think people rush it because they find the one that isn't for them. And they don't even know who they are in the first place. It's crazy to me that 2% of high school relationships last till marriage. Or it's crazy to me that people get in relationships in high school thinking that they found the one when their life experience is 10% of what it's going to be. They don't even know who they are. They don't even know what they like, what they dislike, who they are as a person, their purpose, their mission, what God has called them for. They don't understand any of this, and yet they expect to find the one. You can't find the one until you know who you are. You can't find the one until you've created the one that your future wife would want. Right? Be the person that you wish to find. This is close to me because when I was 16, I rushed it. I rushed it a lot. And getting in relationships actually pulled me away from God because I wasn't ready. I remember as a junior in high school, I got into a relationship that really, really broke me. And I saw the effects of getting into a relationship too soon. I dated this girl for about 9 months, and it was really toxic. I'm not going to say her name. I'm not going to disclose any of that information because that's personal, but I can assure you it wasn't great. It wasn't good at all because she physically hurt me. She abused me. She mentally abused me. She cursed me on the halls. I remember there was this one day where I had a class with her. I felt like she was looking at a guy. So I asked her about it. I was like, hey, kind of didn't like what you did there. Kind of feel like you were pushing on some boundaries. And she just literally said, F you, and walked away. And when I was walking after her in the halls, I was like, I wanted to talk to her about it. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to waste my time because I'm more valuable than this. So I just turned around and went to my other class. And then she said it again. Or no, excuse me. She had walked away from me. And then when I walked away from her because I wasn't going to spend my time chasing that down, she cursed me out. Literally in the middle of the halls, she was just like screamed, F you. The more I got in that relationship, the more lost I was. The more I got out of shape, the more depressed I was, the more I had no money in my bank. It was the spiral out of control. And I saw the real effects that a toxic person has on your life. I do not think people should get into a relationship right now because I would assume half of them are toxic. Half of your relationships in high school and college are not going to be beneficial because they don't know who they are either. They're not fully baked. And if you're not fully baked, they're not fully baked. You're going to create this mess of a bakery, this half-baked bakery. And nobody wants to come in and buy goods from that bakery because they're going to be hurtful. They aren't going to be beneficial. They aren't going to taste good. They're going to give you stomach pain. But that's what all of relationships that I've seen do. Not all, but most. I think as a young man or a young woman, you need to be able to spend time with yourself. And that's so hard because nobody knows how. Right? We have this phone in front of us and we just use Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, all these places to connect with people. And we think this is the one. She's got a dog that I really like. She lives on the corner of this street with an amazing view. Oh my goodness, she has blonde hair. This is exactly what I'm looking for. But is her heart after Christ? Is her mission aligned with yours? Is she someone that you actually can picture growing old with? If not, then don't chase her, because then you are chasing your lust, not chasing after God's purpose. A lot of these relationships break people because sometimes they get cheated on, sometimes they end messy, sometimes they get abused, sometimes they're toxic, and they cause pain. But in that pain, there's always a learning lesson. And I'm so grateful to go through that relationship that I had gone through, because that gave me the perspective and the knowledge that a relationship at this age is not wise. Because I also think about the time. As a young person, maybe you're in college, maybe you're building a business, maybe you have a job. You have so much time right now. You have 24 hours in a day, and you can spend all of that on yourself. But as soon as you incorporate a girl into things, that time goes to 3 to 4, maybe 6. And you can't really you can do things with that time. You can get a lift in, you can be productive, you can get some stuff done. But more likely than not, the things that you need to get done won't relate after finding out who you are. Because nobody prioritizes understanding who they are. And if you're not going to spend time understanding that, then when you're 20, you're 30, you're going to wake up and realize, I spent my time chasing this girl, hooking up with her, and now I don't even know what I want. Now I don't even know who I am. Now I don't even know why I have this anger in my heart. Now I don't know why I have this PTSD over this family issue. You're going to have a lot of unsolved problems. I've learned in my life that the number one factor for your success is marriage. It is, because married men make more. Married men have less chance of being in prison. They have a better paying job. They have better family, better quality of life. But there's a 50% divorce rate. And I would guarantee you that 50% divorce rate is caused by the lack of ability to understand who they are before they got in a relationship, and the lack of ability to actually discern and figure out if this person is right for them. And a lot of young people aren't going to like this because they want that lust. They want to hook up with that girl. I get it. I have those temptations. When I'm sleeping in my bed behind me, I'm making it so. Sunday is where I wash my sheets, so it's not made right now. But when I'm sleeping in that bed, I get lonely. I have thoughts about, man, I wish I had this girl. I wish I pursued this person. But it's never beneficial, because I can promise you those desires are so shallow. They serve no purpose. And until you are established financially, physically, in your faith and in your family, you cannot get a girl. The 4 F-bombs is what Bedros Keuilian calls them. And you can't establish someone so meaningful and so close to you until you have those areas set up. Because if you bring in someone so close to you and you don't have pillars in your life established, your core values, they're going to break them. If you have pillars that are being built up and you bring in someone who isn't aligned, what are they going to do? They're going to knock them down. You're going to change your life for them. That's what I did when I was 16. I started changing my life, my worldviews, my political views for this girl. Literally, I changed my entire perspective on who I was because of her. I started eating junk food. I started playing video games. I started wasting my time. I started lusting at her all the time. I ran away from God because I pursued this girl more heavily than I pursued the Lord of my life. Are you doing that with yourself? This girl that you found on Snapchat, this girl that you saw in the gym, she was so attractive, you just had to get her number. She's the one. No, listen to me, Noah. She you don't understand. She talks to me differently. She makes me feel a certain way. She holds my hand nice. Whatever you guys are focused on nowadays, it's all futile if you don't know who you are, and it's all futile if they're not aligned with who you are. It's so meaningless until you actually understand the establishment of your life. It's not actually meaningless. It's detrimental. It's detrimental if you don't have the right woman in place. It's detrimental if you don't have yourself in place, because if you're not established and she's not established, the relationship isn't going to be established. I mean, let's just logically walk this through. If you are someone, maybe you're 19, you're battling lust, you're battling pornography, or whatever you're dealing with, then you have these goals of getting a 4.0 GPA. Let's just say you're shooting for the stars and you're trying to get in the gym. Okay, so you've got these 3 other goals. Lose weight, build a good GPA. But then you meet a girl and you've been struggling with lust, you've been struggling with staying on track of your gym grind, and you've been struggling with staying on track with your GPA. And then this girl comes along. What is she going to do? She's going to distract you even further. She's going to pull you away from those things. The 2 hours you're spending a day in the gym, it's going to cut in half, maybe in more than that, because you would rather cuddle with her and watch a movie. And all of a sudden, you don't want to go to the gym because, oh, I already got the woman. Why do I need this good body? Like, I already got the girl. What's the point of this? Oh, I don't really need this awesome GPA. She loves me the way I am. And then all of a sudden, 4 years go by, she cheats on you with your best friend or whatever happens. I've heard insane stories, and you should always think of the worst situation. Well, you shouldn't worry about the worst situation happening, but you should always never discard it, and you should always prepare for the worst situation. So let's say worst comes to worst, and she cheats on you with your best friend, and she slanders your name publicly. You're gonna just break, because now you have someone who lost themselves. They weren't in the gym. They lost themselves in college, and they lost their GPA. And they feel destroyed. And it's because they weren't established and they made this girl their everything. But let's look on the flip side. If you're a young man in college, you're spending 2 hours a day in the gym, you're studying, you're trying to build yourself up more, get closer to God. And all of a sudden, this attractive woman comes by, but you understand that you're not where you are yet. You're not where you want to be yet, and you need to build yourself up more. So you just take her as a friend. Maybe you just are like, hey, listen, I think you're attractive, but I can't pursue this right now. And you build yourself up. She sees that. She respects you more. She starts building herself up in order to actually be on the same level as you. Then, when you're 2 years down the line, you have your 4.0, you have the better body, better physique, and you're closer to God. Now, not only do you see her and you realize you're established to get her, but if she's not the one for you, you are qualified to go out and get a high-value woman. The reason low-value people stay low is because they chase other low-value people. But if you started trying to chase after the high-value people, you would realize you can't get them until you yourself are high-value. There's a reason when you see a very happy, established couple, it's because they both were willing to work for it. They both were willing to grow together. They both were willing to actually become better individually. And that's why you see relationships where they're toxic, they're broken, they're hurt as dependent. When I think about a toxic relationship, they are constantly needing each other. They are constantly chasing after each other. They're constantly looking for validation instead of going all in and chasing God and themselves. So there's a very real factor of the value you are is the value you get. And if you don't really like the value that you put out in the world, then you maybe shouldn't chase girls, because the only girl that's going to chase you is a girl on the same level as you. So what do you do? How do you start becoming more valuable? How do you start becoming better for those around you? Well, the first thing I would say is get closer to God. And if you're on the fence, maybe you don't know if there is a God, maybe you think of some things that kind of pull you away, do the research. Okay, that's the second factor. Someone who is high value is someone who actually pursues knowledge. You can't see it right now, but this camera is on top of 5 books. And if you can see in the background, I've got all those books back there. And then under my bed, I've got another 20, 30 books just stacked. Because I love knowledge. I love pursuing a higher version of myself. I love pursuing excellence. And when you pursue excellence and knowledge, you become someone who is stout, someone who is eloquent in their speech, which is being able to persuade someone, being able to convey your message properly. And when you pursue knowledge, you start to be able to understand and formulate ideas. So the two things that you need to do is, one, get closer to God. If you don't believe in God, then take up the second factor, which is study, understand knowledge. You can't see this, but I have a book under my camera, which is Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus. I've been a Christian for all my life, or I called myself one, and it wasn't until I actually started pursuing the truth, started reading more books about the evidence of God, this man who went from a Muslim to a Christian, why he did it, his story, the evidence behind it, until you actually start putting yourself in the situation of asking the hard questions, dealing with the truth, then you'll never be able to grow and expand outside your comfort zone. So that's how I was able to get closer to God, was actually pursuing the truth. Figuring out, is this contradiction? Is this a contradiction? Is this the truth? Should I actually follow this? Should I not? And being able to walk that through. And being able to walk that through looks like asking questions, being able to read, understand, grow, and develop from there. The third thing you need to do is get some discipline. Discipline comes from doing something hard and doing it over a long period of time. The hardest thing for me was getting in the gym. Okay, when I was a junior in high school, 16, and with that toxic ex, 30 pounds overweight. Extremely unhappy with myself. I hated the way I looked, and I changed. That started with the gym. And don't get in there with just to feel healthier. Get in there to transform your life. Because if you get in there with the goal of, yeah, I'm going to take it easy, I'm going to just try to get healthier, have some more body positivity, you're not going to go hard. You're not going to train harder. You're not going to come from a place of actual intent to develop yourself. So create a goal that is huge. Create a goal that is massive to where you need to take massive action. For me, I lost 30 pounds in 4 months. And then from there, I built up. I was getting in the gym more. I was running more. I started thinking about doing a bodybuilding show. I just stacked and stacked and stacked my desires for myself. And now I've been so consistent in the gym that I've been able to build a business around my fitness. Maybe the same could be true for you. Maybe you read a book. You find a new passion about editing or filming, or maybe you find a passion about podcasts like I'm doing now, and you start building a business around it. Maybe you start selling software. You start selling your editing skills. You start marketing, whatever it is. Understand that is not built up until it is found. So the three things to cover: find God, study, and the gym. And the last one. Now this is so key. If you do not do this, the three don't matter. The three won't matter because you won't actually understand them. The fourth one is self-reflection. And this sounds, like the positive guy who's always happy and he's reflecting and he's jolly on his life. No. Self-reflection is hard. Self-reflection is not something that's easy, and self-reflection will be very challenging. I have a notebook in my dresser, and throughout all of March of this year, all of my journals were, I hate myself. I'm just so angry at everything I'm doing. I keep cheating on my diet. I keep messing up. I'm not doing the things I want to. Why is my business failing? I feel like I'm a failure. Like, super deep stuff. That's not easy to write down. And that's not easy to just have in a notebook where somebody could read it and where I read it. But being able to acknowledge where you're at also gives you the hope of where you could be. So in March, although I was like, man, I kind of hate myself, I was like, man, there's a level where I won't. Let me get to that level. And that's what I did. I started working for it, and I messed up a lot. I failed with lust. I failed with cheat days. I failed with doom scrolling. But over the course of time, I slowly started getting locked in. And now, in October, I've been so dialed in. Every day I'm building my business. Every day I'm checking in on clients. Every day I go to the gym. Every single day I don't cheat on my diet. I don't mess up with lust as often. Actually, the other day, I reached 20 days free from lust. And I've been free from websites for multiple months now, like pornography, multiple months free. And it's all because I was able to just admit that I'm not where I want to be yet. And then I grew from there. And this is hard for me to admit online too, that I have had struggles, that I've had growing pains. But until you are able to admit where you've been wrong, you can't see where you could grow. Right? Your perspective is exactly how you operate. And if you're always operating out of a place of burnout, of crash dieting, of lust, it's probably because you aren't able to go back and understand where you're messing up, why you're messing up, and what's causing you to mess up. So those are the 4 things I would say that would really allow you to establish yourself more, to be ready for a woman in the future. And I want to say, fair warning, I'm not trying to flex saying that I don't cheat on my diet, that I don't struggle with lust as much, that I don't mess up with doom scrolling as much. Like, I still have my struggles. I'm 18. I'm not going to be perfect. There are days where I still struggle with laziness. But if I can bounce back, I can get up the next day, make my bed, get after it, do my run, hit my cardio, come back, check in on clients, then it's like I am extremely resilient, because resiliency is the ability to bounce back after something happens. And it causes me to realize there's a level where I will be even more locked in, and I want to get to that level. And going through the lonely thoughts never go away. Okay? Like, I've been single for 2 years. I've been building for 2 years. I'm a heck of a lot better than who I used to be, all because of God. And I still struggle with it. Like, there are nights where I'm going to bed and I wish I had someone. There are nights where I think about it. But I also know that if I had someone, if God gave me that wish, I wouldn't be able to uphold it, because to me, my business is more important. My relationship with God is more important. My relationship with myself is more important. And I put that on the back burner, and my future wife doesn't deserve that right now. She deserves to be looked after. She deserves to be cared for. And she deserves to have a man who actually is well established to manage all of those areas well. And I'm not there yet. So that's why I'm going to continue building and staying single until I understand that God has me in a place where I'm willing to serve. You guys, if I went from in March struggling with cheat days, I actually really didn't like the physique I had, to now in October, I've been cheat day free for, a month and a half now. I haven't had any junk food. I've been doing 75 hard. I'm actually on day 31 out of 75 right now. I've been freeing myself from a lot of these vices. Then I know you can too. It honestly wasn't a long time, March to now, and the time is going to pass no matter what, so you might as well make it count. And if you've been struggling with cheat days, with not being productive, with just struggling and having turmoil in your life, then please book a free consultation call with me on my website. There are no strings attached. I just want to make sure that I can help you, and if we think it's the right fit together, then from there we will work together. But this free consultation is just for me to understand where you're at and how I can help. If you enjoyed the podcast, maybe you're on Spotify, maybe you're on YouTube, follow me, drop a comment if you enjoyed it, share it with a friend, do all the YouTube and podcast things. And I want you to understand that it is okay to not be ready. If anything, that should give you hope and a desire to change, because you understand that there's a level that you haven't been to yet. And that should give you so much happiness and joy that you can grow to that level. Thank you all for watching. Hope this message was impactful to you. Until next time, peace.